Hey metalheads, you like tattoos? Of course you do. If you're in the Louisville, Kentucky area, come on over the bridge to Clarksville, Indiana, and get you some ink done at Ageless Art. If ink isn't your thing, they have a piercing studio as well. Visit agelessartclarksville.com to see some frequently asked questions, meet the staff. The shop is open Monday through Thursday, 12 to 8 p.m., Saturdays, 12 to 10 p.m., and Sundays, 12 to 6 p.m., all appointment-only spots. You can set up your appointments by phone at 812-283-1793 or email agelessarttatoosandpiercing@gmail.com and someone will get you set up for your first or your next tattoo or piercing.
Hey, it's Jeff McNichol down here at Mom's Music, 1900 Melwood Avenue. I was just thinking, when I was a kid, the magic was at Frankfort Avenue, the Mom's Music at Frankfort Avenue, and I used to beg people to get a ride down there just to hang out with the guys and see all the cool gear. Now that I'm the owner of this store, it's like a dream come true. We're recreating the magic with the vibe that we used to have at the old store. We're carrying all the gear that you're going to possibly want. We're giving you the outstanding service and personal attention that you deserve. Yeah, so we've got the great guitar shop here. We're carrying USA Fender, USA Gibson, Paul Reed Smith, Gretsch, Jackson, Charvel, anything you could possibly want, we're going to have it for you. Mom's is and always will be Louisville's music store.
Thank you for tuning into the Metal Forge. I am Mark Jackson and I am your host. The premise of the show is pretty simple. Awesome interviews and awesome music. If you want to contact me, hit me up at metalforgeradio@gmail.com or visit the website metalforgeradio.com. And now, let's get this show on the road. What is going on, metalheads? Thank you all for tuning into this week's episode of the Metal Forge. How the hell are you? Wow. Super rad times. I am doing fairly well, all things considered. It's been a really interesting last week. My mom went back into the hospital a few days ago. So, just between doing this and it's just been rough. It's been like, all hours, all hands on deck kind of thing. So yeah, but talking about more awesome, cool things other than that, this week I have Jason Roach from ICE HOWL here in the Metal Forge, and we are going to be talking about awesome ICE HOWL metal. Yeah, absolutely. Super rad times. Great dude to talk to, fellow Indiana guy. I hate saying Hoosier because that word sucks. I hate it. Won't say, oh, fellow Hoosier here. Yeah, fuck that. So, yeah, before we get in with Jason in the Heavy Metal Wasteland and the big excursion that he is doing this week, what did you all think of last week's episode? It was like super rad to me. We had Fingernails in the studio, Athena with Metal Mischief, and talking with me, on the album Corpsessed, super fun times. I totally had such a great time recording everybody here. And big news is coming, and I'm going to go ahead and give you this now. So, most of you know, I've talked about this at great length. I'm using a Focusrite 2i2 Scarlett interface, USB interface. Took 2 channels, cool deal. Gets the job done. Gets an in-person mic with me. Gets the phone. Does everything. But I'm actually upgrading my rig here to where I will be able to record up to 6 channels at one time. So I'll have a few people in the studio. I can still have some people on the phone. And we can all have like this big extravaganza episode. So hopefully, by the 200th episode of the Metal Forge, hell yeah, coming up soon. It's actually like 16 episodes away. Wow, it's so fucking close. It's going to be like here before you know it. So hopefully, when that episode comes out, I'm going to have some cool people here in the studio and on the phone. How fucking cool is that shit? I think it's awesome. I think it's grand. It's going to kick ass, and everybody's going to love it. That's fucking right. So, before we get with Jason again, I want to do another thing, because, hey, I haven't done this in a while. Remember I used to ask the question of the week type stuff? Well, today is going to be one of those questions of the week, because I had such a good conversation with a friend of mine the other day about, life kicks you in the balls a lot. Now, if for some reason in this lifetime, and I say in this lifetime, if you're, 20, 30, 40, 50 years old right now, say in your lifetime time travel becomes a thing, would you do it? Would you go back in time? Would you go to the future? What would you do? Because there are so many plot holes about going in time, because nobody understands. It's like, hey, if I went back in time, I'd do this. You're still yourself. You're still your whatever age you are. I'm 39 right now. So I would still be 39-year-old Mark going back to like 1965. So, being, 39 years old, you figure you're going to live until you're 72. So, you've got another 32 years here, right? Or whatever. So, how do you do that? Do you have, you could really screw some things up, obviously, whether you run into your old family, family when you're like your dad when he was like 20 years old or whatever, like I would be doing, so on and so forth. How would you do that? You couldn't have children, because then you're into the Terminator paradox of things, right? Because then it's like, Kyle Reese goes back in time to protect John Connor's mom, Sarah, and ends up becoming John's dad, and he's his best friend in the future. How weird is that shit? I mean, that's what I think about, when the power goes out and I have good conversations with people that mean something, and everybody means something, but you know what I mean. Close friendship type stuff. You can be a smart ass. And if anybody remembers, and here's like another interesting little tidbit of Ed's Tuesday musings. If anybody remembers Ed from the radio days here on the Metal Forge, he brought up an interesting dynamic of Back to the Future. And it has to do with Uncle Jailbird Joey. At the beginning of the movie, you see Lorraine throw the cake down on the table in their slum life. Well, your Uncle Joey didn't make parole again this year. That kind of thing, right? Well, when Marty goes back and changes the past, and George becomes a somebody, he stands up to Biff, and when he gets back to the future in the 1985, everybody's life is different. It's changed. Like Biff he's like all humble, oh, Mr. McFly, Now don't cheat me on that second coat of wax, Biff, kind of thing. And the parents were like either tennis or golfing or something like that. But they never explain if Joey never was in jail. And that is so weird. And they never bring him up in the rest of the series. What the fuck is that? It's like, come on. This is like a big plot hole. Right? Anyways, fuck that. Enough of my yakking here, as Marty DeBerkey would say. We're going to go ahead. Let's check in with Jason at the Heavy Metal Wasteland and see what he's talking about. It's been in the news lately, so let's see what he has to say.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Wasteland. A couple weeks ago, Mark hit on the Pantera reunion. Pantera in air quotes, I must say. And I wanted to delve a little bit deeper into not just Pantera per se, but bands who can be perceived as still out there for money only. I think the most egregious example of this is Queensryche right now. Even though they still record albums, there's no Jeff Tate. They just fired a long-standing drummer. Yeah, it seems to have one guy took the reins and steering the ship, as they say. Getting all these really good slots, just based on their longevity of their name and classic albums like Operation Mindcrime, etc. I think another one of these bands that can be thrown into the category, even though I don't agree with it, is AC/DC. People will say, when Malcolm died, AC/DC should have stopped. When Brian Johnson had to drop off and they got Axl Rose, why were they doing that? Just to get money? Even though I think that was probably more of a move to avoid paying a high insurance premium for canceling myself. And also Brian's back in the band, so Power Up is a pretty damn good album, if you ask me. Another example I can think of is Accept. Wolf Hoffman is the only band member still in. Peter Baltes was for a while, but he dropped off before the last album. That's a pretty valid argument, even though I will say that I'm a pretty big modern Accept fan. Blood of the Nations is probably one of my top 10 albums ever. I listen to it like once a month, still religiously. Metallica, there's a Cliff Burton or Nothing camp. And also, you could probably throw Slayer in that also with the no Jeff Hanneman, obviously who passed, and firing Dave Lombardo, who is still young, or not young, but still active, and now playing in Testament. Not like he couldn't do it, they just, for some reason, didn't want him to do it. Probably because of money. Those are just a few examples. There's a bunch more. I mean, you can always get into the 2 Great White camps, the 2 Rat camps, the 2 LA Gun camps, Skid Row, those kind of bands too. So, but let's focus on the Pantera, or I say Pantera in air quotes still. So this band was, for all intents and purposes, dead. Vinnie Paul pretty much swore off that they would never play with Phil again after some of the stuff he said about Dimebag. Then when Dimebag died, we all know that story. And then Vinnie Paul dies, and there was never any patching up between the Abbott camp and the Anselmo side. And I think to an extent maybe Rex was kind of shunned by the Abbotts as well, from what I remember reading about playing with Down for a while and stuff like that. So, what changed after Phil said that there would never be a Pantera reunion without Vinnie Paul? Well, the Danny Whipper Presents and others overseas as well came calling with a huge bag of money, needing a big name on top of their posters, or ad mat for industry terms. And, swung and hit a home run, apparently, because this is really happening. They've recruited Zakk Wylde and Charlie Benante to fill in on guitar and drums, respectively. Even though I'm not feeling it, because those 2 guys play with a totally different feel than what Dime and Vinny played with. Anybody can imitate notes or drum beats and play to a metronome, but they just don't have the same feel. Like Black Label Society sounds nothing like Pantera did. Anthrax's drumming sounds nothing like Pantera's drumming did. So this just screams of and reeks of greed and desperation, probably from both sides. Zakk and Charlie, I'm sure, if they didn't do it, they'd be fine off financially. But I'm sure Phil and Rex could probably use that big money. And I did read that the estates of both Dime and Vinny signed off, and I'm sure they did, because they're probably getting a boatload of money too. So, again, there's already a celebration of Pantera that happened. It's called Dime Bash. It's where musicians who are influenced by Pantera, or Vinny and Dime's playing, get up, and it's kind of like open mic. They go up and play songs, and influenced or by Pantera, and do their best, and everyone enjoys it. Seems like, and looks like everyone has a good time. So people get drunk, throw up white power signs. Not saying anything about Phil. It could have been an accident, but if you remember that incident, that's where it happened, at a Dime Bash. So if they really wanted to do something like that on the festivals, just have Dime Bash but on a bigger scale. Just have musicians playing the same day as the festival come up and join the Cowboys from Hell, or whatever other song title you want to insert to describe what's happening from the 6 to 7 o'clock hour. And yeah, just have fun like that. Like just a big, huge open mic on a festival stage. I think it would have been a lot more memorable and a lot more of a place of celebration and respect than calling this Pantera without any subtitles, just straight up Pantera. And out there kind of just desecrating the name, in my opinion. If you ever saw the Phil and the Illegals set, you'll know that Phil's not really up for the higher register Pantera stuff. Cemetery Gates, Medicine Man, stuff like that. That they have in their discography. So that's all I got to say about it, really. You know, I think I'm in agreement with Mark. I'm just not feeling it. I'm not about it. I just don't think it's right. You know, some bands just are dead and they should be left that way. I mean, you don't see like Jimi Hendrix coming back out and playing the Jimi Hendrix Experience without Jimi Hendrix. You know, I mean, if something happened to Alex Van Halen, is David Lee Roth coming back as Van Halen? I mean, quite possibly. I mean, this sets a precedent that anything can happen now. So, yeah, that's all I got to say about it. But just leave some comments to me and Mark and let us know if you agree, disagree, look at it from a different point of view. You know, tell us shut the fuck up, whatever, you know. And as always, guys, stay safe, stay heavy, and stay hydrated, because it's really hot out there right now. And we will talk to you next time.
You know what? Definitely, Jason. Thank you for like pointing all of that out, because honestly, to me, it really sounds like no, really, though. I mean, yeah, it's all about the boatload of money and all that shit and everything, and it sucks, but, you know, it's what it is. I mean, I really, you know, I don't get certain things, and, you know, I saw Slayer with Hanneman, and I saw Slayer with Gary Holt, and honestly, I mean, Gary Holt is a badass, let's just face it, you know. He's not Jeff Hanneman, because he's a different style of guitarist. Yeah, they're still thrash and whatnot. You know, Jason Newsted and Rob Trujillo and Cliff, they're all different people. They're all different players. It all does that. This, to me, like Jason said, is, you know, Zach's not Dime and Charlie's not Vinny. And granted, it's probably the two best case scenarios, but, you know, for me, it's just not Pantera at that point. So yeah, like he said, give us a drop, shout out a line, do whatever, give us a shout out, drop a line. There it is. So yeah, do all that. Fucking awesome. Let's go ahead and get into some Ice Howl, though. We're gonna go with the title track from this week. We're gonna go with Darkness from Beyond.
Destruction, ruled by
really cool things happening this coming up week. Check out Slaughter at Southgate House. It is a 2-night kick-ass battle royal event with some of the most awesome fucking bands out there today. It is from Transplant Productions and Will Finer, and you're going to be getting your ass kicked that night. Actually, you're going to be getting it kicked 2 nights in a row, August 5th and August 6th. We're going to have Ex-Hoarder, Shankable Offense, Cheap Gas, Blazentine, Wraith, Idle Throne, Black Knife. So many fucking more. There is a meet and greet for Ex-Hoarder Saturday, August 6th at 1:45 p.m. And then it's going to be at Jet Age Records, just up a couple of blocks up the street from the event. You want to be there. You know you want to fucking be there. It's at the Southgate House Revival in Newport, Kentucky, the epicenter of metal these days, because it's right in the middle of Indiana, Kentucky, and Ohio. Hell yeah. Tickets can be found on ticketweb.com, southgatehouse.com, and you can also find out more information at facebook.com/transplantmusicpro. Get your fucking asses out there and metal the fuck on. Stay heavy. All right, metalheads, this one is a little bit interesting this week because we're somewhat in the same area, but it's a phone interview because of work schedules and so much other shit. I have Jason from ICE HOWL here. Dude, what is going on?
Hey, it's all going well here. Yeah, it would be awesome if we could have done it in person, but hey, it is what it is, and I'm glad that I'm here to talk with you.
Hell yeah, dude, because we've been like talking for quite a while now, and just like, you know, watching the TikTok page that you have on there, and how you're like, you do like a lot of hot take stuff, which is so fucking cool to me.
well, I just try to do what the TikTok algorithm chooses for me to interact with, so you know how it is with the TikTok.
Oh, for sure, because you could do so much on there and nobody views your stuff, but you get the one trend or the one sound that goes on, and then all of a sudden it's like, bang, you've got 100,000 followers all of a sudden.
Yeah, like I've had some interesting takes on TikTok, but of course, so far the only videos that have kicked off decently is one about Coheed and Cambria and one about Breaking Benjamin. So I don't know.
which is totally interesting because, like, I think even in the metal world, how we are this niche group of people that, you know, even on TikTok, I see so many metal videos, like so many, because obviously it's part of the algorithm for what I listen to, and just like, even still, we're still some bit of a niche group where, you know, we're not going to get hundreds of thousands of views because of metal.
Well, yeah, of course. But, you know, actually TikTok is pretty interesting. Just because, I guess it's because of how new it is. And like, one of the first people that started following me, which I actually I was like, was Enforcer. Like, they started following me. I was like, no way. And then, yeah, it was the actual Enforcer page. I was like, well, that's pretty damn cool.
That's awesome.
I'm just a no one at this point. So, and they kick ass. So,
well, yeah, because anytime somebody that you look up to follows your page, it's like, wait, what? Did that just happen? Like, for me, it was interesting when people like, you know, like Phil Demmel followed my Instagram page, and Neil Turbin followed my Instagram page, and Lars Fredrickson. You know, it's like seeing these people, and it's like, wait a second. Holy shit, that's cool.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's really cool.
Tell everybody out in Metal Forge Land about ICE HOWL.
All right. Well, ICE HOWL is a interesting combination of, I don't know what it really is at this point, but what I do know is that as of right now, it is 2 people, and one of us lives in Kentucky and one of us lives in around Bloomington, Indiana, and we just make heavy metal. So it originally started as I started writing songs right after I was trying to get back into the music scene, because I took a break for a few years after I left a band called Thorax. I got married and finished college and stuff. So after that point in time, I was ready to get back into music once I had more time. So I started writing songs for ICE HOWL, and I started a little group that was formerly called Tundra Vibrations, and then that changed into ICE HOWL eventually.
Okay. Back in 2015 is when, you had done the Tundra Vibrations project.
Yes.
And you have released quite a few things between EPs and singles and full-length albums. So to date, you've got, 3 full-lengths? Is that correct?
Yes, I just released my 3rd full-length album called Darkness from Beyond.
Hell yeah, which I guess that came out earlier in July.
Yep, it is fresh off the press.
Nice. And again, it's 10 songs of awesome kick-ass metal, I'm sure. And I'm saying I'm sure, of course it is. But yeah. I always like to dissect everything about an album. I guess that's just the connoisseur in me from being a kid and just picking up an album and looking at the jacket and so on and so forth. You've got some amazing artwork for the cover of this.
Well, thank you. The artist was the famous and one-of-a-kind David Paul Seymour.
Wow, and super rad guy. I've talked to him several times on Facebook and stuff, and give him a shout out every time I get a chance to, because he's done so many awesome pieces of art. From Throne of Iron, which you're connected to as well, and
yes,
and Blind Scryer, they're from Louisville, their first album. He did the artwork for that as well. Super rad fucking guy. And he's always selling stuff
Great
online,
man.
It seems like.
Oh yeah, I first discovered David Paul Seymour just because I was involved heavily in the Doom Stoner scene, and I noticed his artwork popping up quite a bit, and then, of course, Throne of Iron then commissioned him for their first full-length album called Adventure 1. And I just told myself, I was like, David Paul Seymour is going to be the one that's going to do the artwork for my next album. So, it happened, and I am absolutely stoked at how great it turned out in that regard.
And the great thing about his artwork is it's some people you can always tell is, wow, that's this person's piece. Or
yes.
For as awesome as he is, Christoph Spagel, he does so many band logos, like Emperor. He's done so many awesome logos throughout the years, but you can totally tell it's his work. And I think, with David Paul Seymour, I think he reinvents every person, whoever he does artwork for. It's a reinvention of something. It's not it's not like he's picking the same thing to go, or the same concept to go for 2 or 3 albums worth of different things for people. So that's what's cool to me.
He has a very unique style with his brush strokes. Mm-hmm. And the way he utilizes color is very unique to him. And I really like when he goes with color, he usually picks about 2 colors, and then he focuses on those 2 colors, and then it absolutely makes whatever piece he's doing just absolutely pop.
Definitely. And looking at Darkness from Beyond, it's that kind of blue that the mountains are, and the blood red.
Yes.
And
yes, that's exactly what I was drawn to, was that color scheme.
Now, this looks like, and just from looking at the digital picture of this looks like an actual painting. Is this actual painting, or was this digital creation? Do you know that?
I do believe that this one was just a digital painting, but I do know that he does sometimes he does do actual canvas, where he actually paints them by hand. Yeah, I think it just depends on what ones he does.
Nice.
But I think this one was a digital project.
Definitely. And see, it looks totally like it was done on canvas, which I think is super super fucking cool. Like Wormwalk, if you're familiar with Wormwalk's art.
I am not.
He had done the cover of Morgul Blade's album.
Okay. I'm aware of Morgul Blade.
And Rygar from Texas, he's done their artwork. And just like so many awesome pieces. And he doesn't do it digitally. He's all like oil or acrylic and ink or whatever. And just like puts up time-lapse videos. So seriously, the artwork to me always means so much to the album.
Yes. I actually went to college for graphic design, so art has always been the thing that I've always kind of been drawn towards. And I'm kind of like you. When you used to go to it, when I go to a store, I usually tend to make my decision on what I buy, whether it be records or CDs, just based on how the artwork looks.
Oh, definitely. I still do. I mean, obviously there's going to be those bands that everybody's into because their name value at some point, like the Metallicas, Megadeths, Violent Thor, Municipal Waste, those bands. But I love looking through like the miscellaneous letter sections, like the miscellaneous A's and B's, like the ones that you're not going to find Black Sabbath under, that it might be some weird band that's not warranted a card in the section, but it gets put under the miscellaneous rack. And just buying albums based on, hey, that looks really cool, I wonder what it sounds like.
Yeah, I usually tend to look in between the actual cards, because I say you never know what you're going to find, and sometimes you might overlook that one that is hard to find, or it has cool art, or you just got a hidden gem. And yeah, I absolutely love record hunting. It is something that I wish I could do more of, actually.
For sure. So, since we've got that out there, what is the best hidden gem you've ever found record hunting to date?
Oh, I got the perfect one. I went to a Half Price Books outlet in Bloomington, and I was looking through their CD section, and I found the first pressing of Meshuggah's Nun.
Ooh.
And with the original artwork, not the redone, but the original. So that one's actually pretty hard to find.
For sure. That's like a holy grail piece, I think.
Yeah, I happened to find it, and I looked at the CD, and the CD was in pretty decent condition, considering that it was in half-priced books in a U section. So,
right,
I was pretty damn surprised.
Hell yeah, mine I bought. It was somebody had sold their collection at the one of the stores here in town in Louisville, and this was probably 3 or so years ago. And I bought it because of the album cover, and it was a band called Malaya Rage.
Okay.
And
not familiar.
It's interesting because it was a band that Sully Erna was in before Godsmack. And he was a drummer in that band, actually. A lot of people don't know that he was a drummer also. And it was like, he wasn't on that album that I bought because it was before his time in that band. But I got it based on, there was like a skeleton on the cover with like a war bonnet, that like an Indian war bonnet, and it was called Endless Rage, I believe, is the name of the album. And it was just like from beginning to end, like a nonstop listen. And I love going into stores and doing that. That's cool.
I would even have thought to have looked for anything like that. That's the great part about going and trying to find records in an actual store. You just never know.
Oh, for sure. Hey everybody, let me tell you about the new sponsor to the Metal Forge, Unchained Tapes. They're an independent Pennsylvania tape label. They focus on extreme metal and punk with a killer approach to the tape scene. Visit their web store at unchainedtapes.bigcartel.com now to get your fill of tapes. And for being a Metal Forge listener, enter the code MetalForge10 at checkout to get a 10% discount on your total purchase. That's unchainedtapes.bigcartel.com.
Hey, it's Mark Maxwell at Maxwell's House of Music. Listen, all this stuff is now available to purchase on our website. Check it out at maxwellshouseofmusic.com.
We carry all the top brands, like Fender.
We got Gibson.
We also have basses.
We've got ukuleles.
We got drums.
We've got sound gear.
We've got keyboards!
Welcome to the night. You think you know Night Demon? Then the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast is for you. Step into the darkness as we peel back the curtain to give you an unprecedented, all-access look into the mind and the heart of the demon. We're talking band history, song analysis, studio anecdotes, stories from the road. It's everything a diehard Night Demon fan could want and more. This is the only place to learn the inside scoop, the deep dive trivia, the untold tales from the band members themselves and those closest to the Night Demon story. Need more? The Sacred Night Demon Crypt will be pried open to reveal demo recordings that have never before seen the light of day, all with in-depth commentary by the band and the people who were there for the writing and recording process. This is a gold mine, a treasure trove of all things Night Demon. Head over to nightdemon.net or wherever you listen to podcasts.
So you just put out a new album, and so it's kind of like short notice on what's going to come next. But with you being a two-piece currently, are there plans for, going and doing shows and stuff like that?
Well, this is the thing about that is I want to. I want to do some shows. The way I see it is like the older I'm getting, and I have a family, I wouldn't personally want to be out all the time, but I do like the idea of maybe playing an Indianapolis show once a year, or going to Ohio once a year, or make my way up to Chicago or something like that. But as of right now, there are no plans to do any live shows, even though I would absolutely love to.
Definitely. Well, I think it's got to be a point, like you said, you have a family to provide for and everything else. And let's face it, life on the road isn't easy. And,
no.
Even doing weekend warrior stuff, which a lot of people are doing now, you get these bands that, they take their vacation from their day job, which is what I do. Take my vacation from my day job and go and play, 3 or 4 or 5 shows in a row and just be doing that.
Yeah. And actually, it's interesting. I'm sure you're probably aware of Lords of the Trident up in Wisconsin.
For sure.
I know that they particularly talk about doing short-run tours, and they actually did a seminar on actually how to be profitable by doing short run touring.
Right.
And so they actually have it down to science, and so it actually is pretty doable to do it that way, but you just got to be dedicated to it.
Oh, for sure. I was saying, like, over the years, I've seen a few things. Like, there's a documentary called Get Thrashed. And I don't know if you're familiar with it or not, but it was produced by, like, Rat Skates from Overkill and a few other people. And they were talking with Gary Holt from Exodus, and how they would go out on the road back in the day when they were younger, and they would go for, like, 60 days. They would do, like 56 shows in 60 days. They'll have 4 days off the entire time. And then they would come back and, they would get a job at like a Burger King, and the Burger King wouldn't even want to hire them because they're spotty work. Well, you didn't have a job for the last 3 months. Well, I've been out on the road, I've been on tour.
Yeah, that's their job.
And and just like, it's so interesting, the dynamic of how to balance that stuff, because obviously we all have downtime when we're off the road and off doing what, the thing that makes us, the music aspect of it.
Absolutely. Just going off by that, and I don't know, the idea of going to play, even going just a couple hours out from wherever your direction is, it's getting harder, I think, for bands in this particular point in time, considering post-COVID era. Well, actually, it's not even post, we're still in it. But, and I think the one thing that I'm interested to see what's going to play out is, gas prices.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of bands that we're not making money as it was, and now this is one thing that they have to figure into how much money they're going to spend and how much they're going to make, and the prices of everything just goes up from there.
Oh, for sure.
And that's unfortunate to see.
Oh, it very much is. And just like, I've always been an advocate for doing what you can with what you have. Obviously, like in my personal situation, we've completely made it to the deal of like, okay, how can we travel as effectively as possible with carrying as little gear as possible? Not necessarily like gear sharing with anybody, but like not having to be reliant on that either. It's like, so like finding a way that we can take some powered monitors and run direct if we have to, shit like that is like, you don't have to have the half stack, 800 setup. You can totally get away with not having that.
Oh, you are absolutely preaching to the choir right here. I 100% back that with every fiber in my being.
Right. I mean, there's almost to a point where it's like technology has outweighed or outgrew whatever I'm trying to say here, has like completely changed the touring game, because it used to be bands like Metallica and the Rolling Stones that, where they do play direct. They have like one live head or whatever, but you don't even have to do that anymore with like,
no.
Kemper and Axe Effects and Sans amps and so on and so forth.
You could hook up straight to the house PA now.
Oh yeah. Assuming you're playing places that have one.
Assuming that you are so blessed to have a decent venue that isn't someone's garage out in the middle of nowhere.
I love the places that put on shows that don't have PAs and expect you to bring one and don't tell you that you need to bring one.
I've never happened to that. That's never happened to me. But now on that note, one of the best shows I've ever played was in a little stoner shack in Somerset, Kentucky.
Oh wow!
And it was just a little shack up in the mountains there at the tail end, and that was a night to remember.
Definitely. Well, I mean, like Southern Kentucky is an interesting, it's an interesting cat all in its own right, because you get like the Appalachian Trail that runs through there, and some of the most awesome people in the world that get into like the whole metal scene from there are just so fucking awesome. Like the guys from Kiarn, which I had on the show a few weeks back, total like Appalachian doom metal, and yeah, it's totally another being, and it's so fucking awesome.
I wish I could live in the mountains.
Right.
It would definitely help with the aesthetic of the music I make.
Well, given Indiana, like especially southern Indiana, you're technically living in the mountains of Indiana, because if you moved up north, it's all flat land.
oh yeah, like I tell people all the time, like, no, you don't understand. South of Indianapolis south of Bloomington is a different state that's in itself.
Oh yeah, it's all hilly.
It's all hilly. It's not what you expect when you think of Indiana. We actually have some very interesting terrain going on here.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, even from around where I am and where I grew up, it's like, any direction you want to go, and it's different every direction. So, which is always fun, because you can always get into trouble out in the wilderness in Indiana.
Oh yeah. Lots of shit gets blown up.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So again, we talked about just releasing the album. So are you already writing to something new now?
I've played around with a few demos, but nothing concrete or substantial in any sense. I'm trying to do my best to let everything come naturally and not try to force anything at all. Definitely.
I can get behind that. To me, it's always like a thing where I notice these, like, I don't want to call you like a bedroom project because, you know, you're not.
Well, it kind of is.
But I mean,
I'm a basement project.
Okay. So yeah, even better. You're a basement project, which is, you know, sounds a little bit better than a bedroom project. I notice that like so many people that do that just put out their stuff and then all of a sudden like 3 months later they're putting out something else. And I love the creativity, don't get me wrong, but like I've always been like the person where it's like, okay, we got to do this. Here's our goal. Here's what we do. Okay, next year, here's our goal. Here's what we're doing. Here's what we're going to do. You know, and just do like that. So seeing so many creative people just sit there and be able to rail off like albums of material. And I'm talking about you, Trevor Church. Ha ha.
Oh, dude, I don't know how he does it.
Right.
I've not really talked to him in length about this in particular, but I told him, I said, I don't know how you do what you do to the magnitude that you do.
Because that's all he does.
Well, and his answer to me was that this is his day job. This is his job.
Yep.
And he treats it like his job. And I was like, well, I guess that's as good an excuse for any. You know, if this is literally what's making you your money.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you have to sit there and you treat it as such, and then, you know, everything that you put out is what it is. Like, for example, like going back and like reading like the noting about like how Pyromania was created in the studio, that they went in and worked with the producer like for an entire year, 8-hour days, you know, with like Mutt Lang and stuff, and just going, you know, they get to the studio at say 12 o'clock and they leave at 8 p.m. and they're just sitting there hammering and writing and recording. And obviously, you know, it was and when it came out, it was $1 million album that they spent over $1 million on the recording process. Ooh. And, you know, and the Black Album's the same way. It took them like a year to record that.
I was gonna say, yeah, I was about to go Black Album.
Right. And that was the other thing, you know, and actually, like, when that box set came out back in September of last year, it was interesting because you get to see more like behind the scenes footage of the year and a half in the life deal. And I already knew it was a crazy experience to begin with, but like seeing even more footage from that era and just like, it's just insane how that album came about.
It, like, I don't care what anyone says. Like, I feel like that there's a lot of people who still take the stance of, oh, everything past the Master of Puppets is shit.
Right. And
I'm just like, no.
Well, no, I agree. I'm a fan, and you know, I'm going to die on this hill to tie it into running up a hill. This whole Stranger Things thing. I'm totally going to die on the hill here and saying that I'm a fan of their entire career, with exception of Lulu.
You know, I was actually wondering if you were going to say St. Anger there, but I'm actually kind of happy that you said that, because I feel the exact same way. I feel like Lulu was hot garbage.
Well, for me, Lulu was Metallica jam sessions with Bad Lou Reed poetry over top of it.
Yes.
And I say bad.
Well, I would say there was one redeeming quality out of that album, and that was Junior Dad. The track on there, Junior Dad, was actually all right. That particular track, it goes on forever.
Right. And I think that's the only
feel
one they
like
ever
that
did
was
live.
Yes, it was the only one they did live. I think. They might have done the I Am the Table one, but, but I feel like Junior Dad was kind of Lou Reed's swan song in a sense,
right?
Because I think that was kind of the last thing he ever did publicly. I think,
right. It's so funny that we're talking about this because that album came out like 11 or so years ago this past week.
God, has it been that long?
Yeah. And I was going through my Facebook posts and like through the memories on Facebook, and I always look on there. It's like, that didn't age well, or that's cringe, delete.
God, that makes me feel like shit.
And I sit there and I saw, it's like, all right, I'm so jazzed. I'm going to listen to this album. And I immediately reposted and said, yeah, this aged well.
I would listen to Saint Anger any day. Like, I feel like anyone who shits on Saint Anger has not actually sat down and truly tried to listen to it.
I agree. And I think, and I've said this with so many other people, because it's like this gets brought up a lot on the show for some reason.
Say Saint Anger, how it's actually not that as bad as what everyone thinks it is.
Yeah, and you got to think, it's 19 years old now. That album came out 19 years ago. So, like, for me, I think listening to it on a different medium versus like, your car stereo, the actual vinyl version, listening to it in headphones, find what the version that works for you. Because like, I listen to it in the room and it's just like, okay, yeah, this is Saint Anger. And listening to it on vinyl, because vinyl adds a completely different feel to a lot of things.
Yes, it does.
And, just even if it's like 180 gram, you still got the pops and the clicks and a little bit of hiss in there. So it adds another embodiment to it. But like, I found the true love for that album listening to it on headphones, because there's so much stuff that's submixed on that album that you hear like rawness of, like, when they're recording the drum tracks, you hear stuff in the background where some, like, James is like, yeah, and like, you don't hear that just in a room mix. It's like you have it concentrated into your ears, and then you start to hear the stuff in the background come out.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I said, whatever way works for you to listen to that. I mean, anyone listening to this, I would really, really challenge any of you to sit down and try to give Saint Anger a real chance, and try to overlook the snare. we all know,
right?
We all know the snare is literally, pardon the pun, garbage. I see what I did there. but that album is massive.
It is.
Like the actual soundscape of it. It is huge, and I think what everyone needs to understand is the time frame in which the album came out. You're in your early 2000s. Metallica at the time was still living off the high of the success from the Black Album, and then the era of Load and Reload, and then eventually S&M. And I don't know, like, the music was a different thing back then.
It was. It absolutely was.
And I feel like they were trying to ride the coattails of nu metal, I think, at the time.
Hey, let me tell you guys about Mercenary Press. They're an independent London label and distributor of all things metal. Mercenary Press delivers the goods from their own independent zine. Trust me, you're going to want to get in on that. To distributing various bands from all over the world, including Cramp from Spain and Sadistic Force from Texas. Visit mercenarypress.bigcartel.com to find out what all they have in stock and what you can order. And for Metal Forge listeners, enter code MetalForge to receive a discount on your total purchase at mercenarypress.bigcartel.com. Check it out now. Since 2013, there has been a calling from the underground, from the graves of all those unholy, and they decided to make a zine to talk about all of this. Soulgrinder Zine, an independent metal zine to keep you informed on all things metal and horror from the underground. Available in both print and digital formats, they're bringing you the best interviews and reviews out there today. Not only do they do the zine, but they also do compilation CDs. Check them out at facebook.com/soulgrinder.zine and start your subscription now. So let's go ahead and switch over to some general profile questions.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah, these are all about you as a person. They're, they can be music related, they could be movie related, they're just life related questions.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see what kind of curveballs you can throw me.
Yeah, because I'm really digging these new questions.
Okay.
Do you like to be spontaneous, or do you like to have an itinerary, like an actual plan?
Ooh, this is a good one. To be honest, I have felt that being spontaneous usually adds more fun to whatever it is you're doing. But I find myself wanting to be organized and have everything planned out. So I guess it just depends on how I'm feeling for the day. But I would generally think that being spontaneous is a better way to go about life.
For sure. And I'll second that. Like, I've always been like a guy where it's like, okay, I know I'm recording this episode on this day. I've got to, I got to be at work at this time and this time. And it's like, I've got to plan that stuff out.
Yes.
But like, I've recently, been hanging out with a friend, and it's been totally cool with the spontaneity of things. And it's just like, hey, fuck it, this is fun.
Yeah. I mean, it adds. I mean, sometimes you got to go against the grain, and you just got to, you got to do things that your mind is telling you not to do, and just try something different. And that's part of being spontaneous, I think.
Hell yeah, absolutely, I like that. What do you think is not fair in today's society?
Oh, I could go so many different ways with this. I would like to start off by saying, I am not going to sit here and say that I am a unique person. I'm not going to say that at all. But I do try to think that I have unique perspectives on certain things. Because I don't believe in going with what everyone is saying. I go with what I feel is right.
Okay.
I honestly, one of the things I honestly do not believe is fair in this world is wealth inequality. Like, the older I'm getting, the more I'm starting to see how things are truly unfair, and I can't stand it when I see people defending people who are literally using people for their own gain. That absolutely burns me. It's because it's so obvious now. it's like before, they always tried to, you got your Walmarts, your Targets, they always tried to hide it, and now it's just out in the open. You can literally look up what the profits and the losses of any company are at any given time.
Right. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh no, what I was going to sit there and say, how just even in the fuel industry, how they're setting up record profits of billions of dollars, and it's all for what? All because, it's not necessary. How can you have ridiculous $1 billion profits?
Yeah.
Something doesn't smell right with that.
Well, I don't have the exact number on me, so I'm just saying this in a general way. If I'm not mistaken, last year Target, I believe, made some sort of insane profits during 2021, and of course, we were in the heart of the pandemic at that time, and I'm wanting to say it was even something over 40%.
Oh,
it was
wow.
It was something insane like that. And you live in Indiana, so you know that we have a lot of red.
Yes.
We have a lot of red in our state.
Yeah.
So, and unfortunately, I have to sometimes, I have to talk with people that I don't agree with on certain things.
Oh yeah, every day for me.
And this is one of those things, because I can't, no matter how many times I try to tell them, like, okay, so Target made let's just say, they made a huge profit. We're not going to say numbers, but they made a huge profit during COVID. And then when it came time to give everyone raises, they actually laid people off. And they actually, in some instances, I saw this in some Reddit posts, that some people who worked for the company claimed they only got a 5-cent raise, even though Target made all this profit. And it's just like, can they not, just give part of that? If they made 40% profit, take 5%. I mean, 5%. Right. I mean, you still made 35%. I mean, I try to explain this to people. I said, what's 5%?
Exactly.
To them? Why can't they give that to their employees in the form of a wage? I don't understand. And then they're like, well, they're just cart pushers or blah blah blah. And I'm like, but they are making the company money.
Exactly. Well,
I talk about this like a McDonald's. I'm sorry, I'm getting on a tangent, but it's just it really bothers me.
No, I
how
get
some
that.
people just can't see common sense and logic.
No, you're absolutely right, and I can put a pin in this with. I'm a wrestling fan, and there's a story that Scott Hall, the late Scott Hall, told about when Bret Hart was the WWF champion at the time, and Bret never asked for a raise ever, like when in his deal, and Vince McMahon always paid everybody else based on what his champion was making. Okay. And, Scott wanted to make more money, and he had meetings with Vince and said that he's like, okay, so you can't budge on this, but what about on the merchandise? Can you just move the decimal point over a place or two? He's like, it might not mean a lot to the McMahon family, but for the Hall family, it would. And they wouldn't do it.
Exactly.
And that's where it's at. It's like, it doesn't mean anything, if you move it over a decimal point on their side, but that for any normal average Joe out there absolutely could mean a new car. Or even a family vacation. Yeah,
or just some peace of mind. If something were, if your vehicle were to break down or something like that. I mean, I don't know. That's just the one thing that really drives me nuts is when I see people defending it. It's corporate communism. It really is.
Right.
They have a stranglehold on everything, and I wish people would just open their eyes and see that, because it truly is happening.
Definitely. What is your kryptonite?
Ooh. My kryptonite is let's see. I'm trying to find a good way to word this. It's kind of two parts. I have a bad tendency to look too much, like I'm doing right now. I have a bad tendency to look too much into things and read between lines when I shouldn't. And
I'm guilty of that.
And another thing is procrastination.
So you put too much thought into it, and then you don't do anything about it.
Yes, exactly. I have CD orders right now that need to be sent out, and not to make excuses, but I've been working 6 days a week right now, sometimes 7.
It's rough.
And but there's times I could have found some time to send CDs out. So anyone who's listening to this who haven't received a CD yet, I apologize.
You know what? I ordered something off of Bandcamp, and like they're like a deal. I'm not like putting it down. Like they're a deal where they don't go on tour or anything like that. And it was like a month and a half later. I was like, "Did you ever send my CD out?" And they're like, "Oh shit, man, we forgot."
Yeah, I mean, sometimes people just they get lost in things that are going on. I mean, we're all human,
Oh yeah, I totally get that.
Some people are better at than others.
Right, 100%.
So I can definitely say that there are people better than me when it comes to those two things.
If you were in charge, what 3 items would be in the office vending machine?
Ooh, okay. Oh god, this is gonna sound so bad. I would make sure. No, pumpkin spice Pop-Tarts.
Oh shit. Oh shit.
Those things are badass. I don't care what anyone. And I swear to Christ, if they don't have them this year, if they say there's a food shortage and they don't have my damn pumpkin spice Pop-Tarts, I'm gonna burn a Walmart down.
You're gonna riot.
I'm gonna riot.
Yes.
Okay, so there's one item. I would have a meat pack of like salami, pepperoni, stuff like that.
Okay.
I it's always good to have protein.
Yeah, for sure.
And the last thing would be, and this is only because this is really pissing me off right now that I can't find any of it, but there is a special coffee creamer that I use that is all natural, like it's all natural cream. I cannot drink anything that's sunflower oil based. It makes me sick. It makes me sick. I don't know how people can drink that shit, but yeah, I can't find any of it anywhere. It's been sold out in my local Walmart for 3 weeks now.
Oh,
so that'd be my third item I'd have in there, and it would constantly be stocked. I would be happy.
Hell yeah, yeah. So the pumpkin spice Pop-Tarts, hey, those are great already, because to me they're like the equivalent. My favorite flavor of Pop-Tarts is the brown sugar and cinnamon. So like,
okay.
I think they're on par with each other for sure. The meat pack, yeah, the salami, the pepperoni, that stuff. Hell yes, can totally get on board with that. And the creamer, yeah. When it comes to coffee, yes, I'm totally that guy. I'm that basic bitch when it comes to coffee. I'm like, all right, gotta have the caramel macchiato creamer,
Yeah, I mean, but I can't do the kind that's like fake. I just can't do it. I mean, it tears my stomach up. Like I just can't do it.
For me, like I used to use like the powder, like the cremation powder creamer.
Yeah.
And like I just like got grossed out because of how like waxy. It's like the same stuff that is made for like ramen noodles. They're like it's like food grade styrofoam.
It ruins your coffee.
Yeah,
it really does.
It really does.
Like who thought that like, oh, this powder shit, let's dump it in our coffee. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah, it would probably taste better with wood shavings.
It would not surprise me if there is wood shavings in that coffee.
Oh, that's gross. You're right, because with the stuff that the FDA lets out there, like, oh, you're allowed to have 8 spider legs in each candy bar and stuff like shit like that. Those horror stories that you hear. Oh, it's crazy.
Well, they craft shredded mozzarella. I think there for a long time, they said that there was traces of sawdust in all of it. So there's that.
I could see that, honestly, because a lot of that stuff does get like put in boxes, like wooden crates, and then when they're tearing that shit apart and opening it up to process it. Oh yeah, for sure. Got one more question, but before we get into that, links will be listed below, as always, so please give a like, a share, and a follow. Go to the Bandcamp page, purchase albums, purchase shirts, whatever is on there that you can support these guys with, please do it, because it's fucking awesome, it kicks ass, and it's what it's about, is the support and the love of fucking metal out there. So please, give a like, a share, and a follow, and support. Jason, do you have any shout-outs?
Thank you, everyone.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Do you have any shout-outs you want to give for anybody today?
Yes, I actually would. I would like to give a shout out to Sean Frazier of Wise Blood Records. He is a kick-ass guy, and he has a really, really cool record label out of Indianapolis. Sean is a writer for Decibel magazine, and if you actually remember the Haunt cover story that was done a few years ago by Decibel, he actually wrote that.
Sean's a sweetheart.
I absolutely love Sean.
Yep.
He is he's been a believer in ICE HOWL for a long time. So
yeah.
He is great. Someone else I'd like to give shout to 2 more people. Then we got Chris Sullivan of Wolftooth. Wolftooth is an incredible band, and if you are into heavy metal with a little bit of a stoner tint, You will absolutely love Wolftooth. They are signed at Napalm Records. I've been friends with those guys since the beginning. So go definitely check out Wolftooth. And then last but not least, Tucker from Throne of Iron. Tucker and I, we have had a long history together. It's because of him that I'm into heavy metal, and we went to high school together. So yeah, go support all the things that those people are doing.
Hell yeah.
They absolutely need it.
Hell yeah, absolutely. Of course, Sean, friend of the Metal Forge, he's done so much for us as well, and he co-promotes a festival show at Black Circle Brewing, actually one coming up here in the next couple of weeks, which is Heavy Hell 3, I believe, with the amazing headliners Midnight. You know, he and Dustin from Stranger Attractions, so fucking cool. Yes, totally.
And Demiricus too.
Yes. And so fucking cool. Total shout outs to them. Gotta look up the band for sure. And, you know, with Tucker, of course, super rad guy. He was on the show about 2 years ago. So I need to hit him up, and we need to do like a reforged episode with Tucker because, you know, he's just a cool cat.
Absolutely. So
final question of the day. What is something weird that you do before bedtime?
Let's see. You know, I'm gonna be boring here. I really don't do anything that weird.
What?
No, I'm pretty normal when it comes to that kind of stuff. I guess if anything, I sleep with like 3 fans. I can't sleep without the sound of a fan, or I can't sleep if I'm too hot.
Oh yeah, I get that.
So, and because I have 2 young kids, my youngest likes to get in bed with us every night. So I guess the weirdest thing I end up doing is I start off in bed and I end up on the couch almost every single night. So
that's it. That's actually not too far-fetched. I mean, I don't even have kids, and that happens to me. Like, I'll wake up at like 4 in the morning, which is like 2.5 hours before I actually have to be up for work. And I'm just like, well, shit, if I go and lay back down, I'm going to sleep through my alarm. So it's like I sleep on the couch, but I just like mostly doze. So yeah, I totally get that.
How many alarms do you set?
Like 7.
I was gonna say that's exactly what I do. Okay, we got 5 o'clock, 5:05, 5:10, 5:15, 5:20,
and then you set like the on the iPhone, it's got like the warning noise, like the air raid alert. And that's always the alarm that I set. That's the last alarm for that I know will wake me up.
Yeah, you're just like, that's the alarm. It's like, okay, shit's cash, gotta get up.
Yeah, it's like you've slept through the 4:30 alarm, you've slept through the 5 alarm, you slept through the 5:30 alarm. It's like, and then you're like, it's like, oh shit. It's like
it's about to go down.
Fuck, you gotta get out of bed, dude. Get the fuck up. for absolutely sure. It's like, it's like, come on. For as much as like as it is, like on the weekends, it's like no sleep till Hammersmith, you know. It's it's like stay up till 4 in the morning with the bourbon and everything else, and just being like, oh well, shit. Now what am I gonna do all Sunday? Because now I feel like shit.
Yeah, I said I can't even have fun anymore. Like I'm 31 years old and I already feel like I'm in my 60s. It's like this ain't right. I should be going until 4 o'clock in the morning.
Right. And yeah, because you know I'm almost 40 and doing it. So
I like my sleep too much.
Right. So, dude, thank you so much for coming on to the Metal Forge this week, Jason. This has been awesome. It's been a great conversation. I always love talking with everybody, you know, that's in my area, because you find out so many cool people and you're just like, hey, you're from there? Well, I'm from here. That's like not that far away. And it's like, you know, it's like that 6 degrees of separation where everybody seems to know somebody.
Absolutely. And hey, I would be more than more than happy to come back on again in the future. We can continue talking about how people need to listen to Saint Anger and give it a shot.
Yes, we'll do like a Saint Anger special where I think I'm gonna take all of the Saint Anger bits out of every show on the 20th anniversary episode of Saint Anger, or the 20th anniversary release of Saint Anger, and I'll put it down and just be like, you know, and it'll be like our lifestyle determines our death style. The Metal Forge special.
Yep, tick tock.
Yes. So, dude, on the album Darkness from Beyond, what do you want to play out today?
Oh, well, let's see. Let's do my personal favorite track, and that is Snowfire.
Hell yeah. You heard him. This is from ICE HOWL. This is Snowfire. Hey metalheads, it's with great pleasure I get to tell you guys about a new sponsor to the Metal Forge, Ageless Art, New Albany. After 20 years of owning and operating Ageless Art in Clarksville, Indiana, Phil Garrett had a vision for a new type of tattoo studio. Something that is clean and modern, sleek, refined, inviting. And he's done just that with Ageless Art in New Albany. You can find it at 2736 Charlestown Road, New Albany, Indiana, 47150. Business hours are Monday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Sundays are 12 to 6. All sessions are appointment only, so give them a call and go get you some new ink. Or if it's your first time, go get your first one, baby.
Hey guys, Wrestling Steve of the Wrestling Steve Show here. So if you're currently listening to the Metal Forge with Mark Jackson, then you understand that Mark Jackson has a pretty discerning taste when it comes to music as a whole. You'll also understand that he has a discerning taste for professional wrestling, just like me. My show is called The Wrestling Steve Show. I talk about modern and classic pro wrestling in a completely unbiased, unfiltered way. Be sure to check me out on all available podcasting platforms. That is The Wrestling Steve Show. And I am the host, Wrestling Steve. Just remember, like Confucius said, man who goes through turnstile in Thailand is going to Bangkok. Pro wrestling.
It's Gonna Get Weird is the name of the podcast. We're on season 2, so you have a whole season to get weird with Frank Green and Scott Clark. The best part is there's always laughter.
Oh, yeah, you can pull that out.
We have national touring comedians, NFL stars, rock stars, your local friends. It always gets weird. Weird answers.
Have y'all ever snorted coke off of a 78 Pinto? No? You ain't no man.
Weird questions.
Who had a bigger cocaine habit, Jock Sutherland or Kaywood Ledford?
Neither one, because they stopped beating their wives.
And weird we never even thought of.
Well, no. My friend is on acid, and I sent my friend to go find a payphone so that I can call and turn myself in for murdering this guy and ruin my life.
We love all types of people, but we don't love all people.
Weird. It's Gonna Get Weird is the name of the podcast, available everywhere. And thank you to Big X Sports Radio for being a proud sponsor of It's Gonna Get Weird. Frank Green, Scott Clark. Yeah.
Hey, thank you all for tuning into this week's episode of The Metal Forge. I want to take a minute to remind you guys about the Patreon page. Over on the Patreon page, we have the tiers set up to support the production of the show. We feature the Down and Dirty, which is just $1. There's nothing special for that one, it just sends me a thank you because every dollar helps. Then there's the Double Down and Dirty. Much akin to the Down and Dirty tier, everything helps produce the show in the end. You make your presence known, and I appreciate that more than you realize. Thank you for being a dedicated friend and supporter to the Metal Forge. By selecting that tier, you will receive some cool Metal Forge stickers in your mailbox. Now, we're really going to start pounding the metal madness with the Apprentice Metalhead for just $5 a month. By becoming an Apprentice Metalhead, you'll be given early access to the shows, published 24 hours before everyone else gets it. You're also going to receive 3 entries in any contest that we do here at the Metal Forge. You're also going to receive a 10% discount on all Metal Forge merch, and you're going to receive a sweet Metal Forge patch for your battle jacket or backpack. And now, here is the big one. This is the Master Metalhead for just $10 a month. By becoming a Master Metalhead, you will receive a hand-numbered Metal Forge Master Metalhead membership card. You're going to be given early access to the shows as well, with 36 hours before everyone else. You're going to receive 5 entries in any contest that we do here at the Metal Forge. You'll be able to submit audio questions that I will use on the show of you asking questions to the upcoming guests. Remember, timing is everything, and you will need to keep up with the upcoming guest list on the website. You're also going to receive advanced knowledge of any new merch coming out and be given a 25% discount on all Metal Forge merch. And you're also going to get all of the other rewards from the other tiers. So visit patreon.com/Metal Forge Radio today and help support the Metal Forge. Rock on.